You need to remember one thing. Those men who say they like you but don't want to make an effort, their underlying logic is to take advantage without spending anything. They want to get everything for free, and the best thing is to easily sleep with you. In this situation, unless you're willing to sacrifice yourself, suffer and submit, things won't work out. For example, there's a guy who has a good salary. He tells you on WeChat that he's chasing you and keeps saying that, chatting with you occasionally for 2 or 3 years. But in practice, he hasn't put in any effort. Generally, a woman will be moved by this after 2 or 3 years and naturally get involved with this man. Over time, you will relax and emotionally soften. When holidays come, you think about suggesting something like transferring money or a gift, but he will say that it's too normal, that he will give you something bigger in the future, like a car or a house. And this man still continues to flirt with other women, but you don't notice. He only looks for those who expect nothing from him, who are willing to sacrifice, submit, and even pay the costs. If he finds someone else, he will drop you without thinking twice because he sees you as a problem. This kind of man will always want to take advantage and be stingy. This is his constant mindset. Don't create the illusion that because he chased you for 2 or 3 years he was being thoughtful. In reality, those 2 or 3 years weren't for you, they were just time he passed because he was bored and had nothing to do. So, if you really want to understand a man, be direct and ask about money. Don't wait for 2 or 3 years to pass, and for your emotional vulnerability to make you realize that you've been deceived.
怎么验证一个男人是不是
How to verify if a man truly loves you. Ask him for money. This isn't something I'm saying, it's something my male friends have shared with me. I have a friend named Armin, a typical player, lots of girlfriends, who has had more than 10 girlfriends. We all thought he'd be a womanizer for life, but to our surprise he recently told us he's getting married on May Day, May 1st. When we asked him how he could change his mind, he said he found someone he truly loves. Then a friend asked, "How do you know she is really the one you love?" Armin replied, "I want to spend money on her." He explained that when he was with his ex, he did a lot to please her, saying sweet things and making promises, but when it came to spending money, he felt uncomfortable. For example, when they went shopping and she liked a skirt, his first reaction was to pull her away, saying, "Baby, that skirt doesn't suit you. I'll buy you a more expensive one later." When she wanted a milk tea which cost just a few dollars, he was reluctant, saying the tea wasn't healthy and was bad for her health. In the end, he bought her just a bottle of water. It didn't take long and they broke up. Then, Armin got together with his current girlfriend, with whom he had been trying to be with for a long time. He accompanied her to shopping, bought clothes for her with pleasure, and whenever she looked at a store window, he would pull her in to choose the clothes, buying everything without hesitation, while the saleswoman tried to push him to buy even more. He smiled and said, "I really can't control myself, I just want to spend money on her, make her look beautiful. And as for the milk tea, I don't even need to say, whenever I see someone holding one, I immediately go to buy one for her and even get dessert." After finishing his drink, he said something that left a deep impression on us. What men say about love doesn't count. What counts is if they are willing to spend money for love. So, if you want to know if a man truly loves you, see if he's willing to spend money on you. A man willing to spend money on you doesn't necessarily love you, but a man who isn't even willing to spend money on you certainly doesn't love you that much. When you can't tell, just ask him for money, confidently and without feeling embarrassed. Doesn't he say he loves you? Then show him that true love is also about concrete actions. And don't worry if he thinks you're materialistic. If he says that, it's because he's trying to manipulate you emotionally. That just shows he's a pragmatic person. Don't listen to what people say about money ruining relationships. In reality, not talking about money is what really ruins relationships. You may come across some men who try to get everything for free. If you don't ask, they'll pretend they don't know. Most women don't need the money, but if you do this test, you'll be able to find out if he's genuinely interested. Why not try? If you don't know how to ask, don't worry, there are tricks for that.
Why doesn't he want to spend money on you? Many girls have this problem, where their boyfriend doesn't want to spend money on them. Now, I understand one thing. If he doesn't want to spend money on you, it means he doesn't love you. Now, let's get this straight. I'm not saying this is a rule for everyone, but the fact that he doesn't want to spend money on you is a normal idea for a human being, okay? Because normal people want to spend money on themselves, even your parents. When you were a child, didn't your parents love you? Of course, they loved you. But when you asked for pocket money or some extra cash for something, it was hard, right? Your dad worked so hard to earn that money, right? The second thing is about the motivation humans have to spend money. You need to understand that spending money is about buying happiness. The main reason people spend money is to satisfy a consumption experience. First, spending money isn't about punishing yourself, it's always about buying happiness. Third, he will only continue spending money on you if he feels that the happiness he gets from spending that money on you is greater than the happiness he would get by spending the same amount on himself. Remember, every human being, deep down, spends money to buy happiness, not to punish themselves. That means the emotional value you provide, the ability to bring joy, is what makes him want to spend money on you. Do you get it? The fourth point is about having real skills. If you don't have real skills, why would anyone go against human nature and spend money on you? We work so hard, exhaust ourselves at work, spend long hours at the office, do overtime, earn so little, and all of that is to try to have a better life. Now, why would anyone spend money on you, risking their own well-being? That goes against human nature. Why would anyone do that for you? Only if you have real skills.
花钱就能证明爱。
Can spending money prove love? You've probably heard this phrase, if a man spends money on me, it means he really loves me. It's not hard to see that, in a consumer-driven society, money is given too much importance. And indeed, our lives depend on money. So what does spending money really mean? Spending money means giving. It's also an attitude. If a man can make a woman feel love, there are many women who don't want his money. They just want him. But what's the problem? The problem is that you didn't provide him emotional security, nor give him guarantees in life. Yet you call him materialistic. A man's willingness to spend money on a woman doesn't necessarily mean he truly loves her. But if he's unwilling to spend money on her, he might truly not love her. In fact, for men, whether they can make money is more important than whether they have money. Money is not the only standard to measure love, but it can help filter out a lot of false emotions and intentions.
If your thinking is still stuck on the idea that a man not spending money on you is because he doesn't have money, then you are completely wrong. Whether a man is willing to spend money on you depends on you. Remember that. Men choose who they spend on, especially when it comes to women. Maybe many people don't believe this, but think about it. For example, if a man meets a woman who has never seen the world, will he take her shopping? Will he take her to eat exotic foods? No, he won't. If he meets this woman, it's because of her past good deeds. He won't even invite her to eat. He'll just leave her hungry. Understand? After everything, at most, he'll take her to a market and buy her a simple meal just to send her off. Now, if this man meets a more open and generous woman, he will treat her like a buddy, saying, "I'll pay for this meal. Next time, you pay." Respectful relationships. No one owes anyone anything. They are all like friends. Friendship is deep, and after the drinks wear off, everyone goes their separate ways and forgets everything. If the man meets a professional-looking woman, dressed in a suit with good posture, he won't even think about inviting her to eat. He will probably be the one to invite her. The man will feel like he is showing great respect, right? I believe you've seen this situation. Now, if the man meets a woman with some kind of family connection, or trying to get close through relatives, he will honestly feel like he is wasting his time. So the truth is, whether a man is willing to spend money on a woman depends on how much he thinks she is worth. Here you realize that if a man meets a young woman without much personality, apparently innocent, and very obedient, he tends to be more interested in her. But he will have a limit. At most, he will invite her to dinner, buy some clothes, give her a small gift for Christmas or other special occasions. Something symbolic, like a small amount, to make her happy. His yearly spending on her won't exceed 10,000. If it exceeds that, he won't spend a penny more. This is a man's strategy. Now, if the man meets a woman with sensual curves, a woman full of femininity, with an intense gaze, he will be completely captivated. At this moment, the man will start spending money on her without even realizing it. Why? Because he can no longer control his thoughts. Everything is guided by hormones. This is how men behave. Therefore, to understand a man, you need to understand where his motivation comes from. A man's motivation comes from his eyes. What he sees is what he starts to value, and what he values is what he invests in. Don't think that a man doesn't spend money on you because he is poor. It's because you are not worth enough. It's because your value, your seductive power isn't great enough. Understand?
I don't know if you've ever heard this kind of toxic advice. If a man is willing to spend money on you, it doesn't necessarily mean he loves you. But a man who is unwilling to spend money on you definitely doesn't love you. At first glance, this seems to make sense. But if you think about it, not spending money and not loving you are not the same thing. Saying that a man doesn't love you just because he doesn't spend money on you is unfair to him. Let me give you an example. He didn't buy you 99 roses. But when you face setbacks, when you're sick, when you're sad, there's always someone there to comfort you, to take care of you, silently supporting you by your side, encouraging you. Many times, he's the one who shows up when you need him the most. Even though you feel deeply moved, you still say, he didn't spend money on me, so he definitely doesn't love me. Is that fair? In fact, maybe the way he shows love just isn't the way you expect. For you, spending money might be the way you think he loves you. But you need to allow him to express his love in his own way. It's all love. A rich second-generation man spends money taking you to a star-rated hotel to have a fancy dinner. He's spending money on you. But tomorrow he might be having dinner with another girl. Some people, even though they spend money on you, you might think they are loving you. But soon you'll realize that, in fact, he doesn't understand what love and respect are. Spending money on you is his only way to connect with you. Let me give another example. A man with 10,000 yuan in his pocket lends you money to buy a 20,000 yuan gift. And another man spends a few hundred yuan on a gift, but uses the rest of the money to plan your future together. Which one would you choose? Why associate love with spending money? Why turn love into something material? If love has to be based on spending money, what will you offer in return? Do you really love this man? Would you be willing to squander the money he earned with so much effort? When a man spends money on you, it's within his financial ability. He might not be able to buy a luxury car or a mansion right now, but within his capacity, he's already giving you the best he can. What he does for you shouldn't be taken for granted. Whether he loves you or not, only he can say, and his actions will show it. Spending money is just one of the ways of showing love. But it doesn't mean that if he doesn't spend money, he doesn't love you.
What is the mindset of a man who doesn't want to spend money on you? I was convinced by his psychology, and this video might change your perception. Remember to save it, because it might be hard to find later. During my live streams, I repeatedly get asked the same questions. Why don't men want to spend money on me? Does that mean I'm not worth anything to them? Did he really never love me? Today, I'm going to give a unified explanation on this topic. The reason is pretty painful. Men don't think it's worth it to spend money on you. Listen carefully. Not worth it, isn't that harsh? But after hearing what I have to say next, you'll understand it much better. The reason he won't spend money on you is because he can easily win you over. He doesn't need to spend money. After all, who would pay for a free lunch? Some people say, I don't like owing anything to anyone. So from the very beginning, when I met him, I insisted on paying the bill. I want to say that this mindset is fine when it comes to friendships, but when it comes to dating and choosing a husband, it will make the other person think that being with you doesn't require any investment. Men generally prioritize their careers, and the ultimate sign of success in their careers is money. That's what they care about most. So, to test if a man truly loves you, you just have to observe if he's willing to spend money on you. The money a man spends on a woman is an investment. No one wants to lose an investment. The more he spends, the less likely he is to let you go. This is human nature. If there's no emotional investment, the relationship becomes dispensable, and when it ends, there won't be any regret. Some people try to deceive themselves and ask, what if he's really poor, with no money? I beg you, don't deceive yourself anymore. Even without money, if he truly cares, he could at least invite you to a simple meal or give you a rose. Isn't that an expression of his feelings? Human nature always values what's on the rise, never what's falling. Don't devalue yourself. If you are a rare, limited edition woman, hard to get, quality men will compete to pay for you. Do you agree?
Will the puppy dog economy really disappear? In the past, capitalism trapped men into spending for love, paying for women's needs. But now, the system has completely failed, and men are increasingly distancing themselves from this responsibility, creating a growing trend of detachment. More and more men are no longer paying for love, and instead, they are focusing on pleasing themselves. Consumer data supports this shift. Previously, men's value in the consumer market was often joked about as being less than that of a dog. But now, according to a report from the Ministry of Commerce, in 2023, online spending on male-oriented products surpassed that of female-oriented products, especially in areas like men's clothing, electronics, cars, fishing, and camping, showing an impressive purchasing power. Some might argue that these are simply hobbies for men and spending more money doesn't prove anything. But let's dig deeper. Compared to the days when men would go to great lengths to please their goddesses, it seems that today, people are more willing to spend money on their own well-being. There's even a story of a middle-aged man who decided to stop chasing love, took $18,800, and set off on a solo trip around the country. All of this is signaling that more and more men are waking up, realizing that instead of sacrificing everything for someone else, it's better to focus on themselves and enjoy the freedom. With the collapse of the puppy-dog economy, society as a whole is starting to feel the pressure of male disengagement, and one of the sectors most affected is the real estate market. Another noticeable trend is the marriage and fertility rate. According to official data from the Ministry of Civil Affairs, the number of marriages has drastically decreased in the last 2 years. In the first 3 quarters of this year, the number of marriages was 7 million, a drop of 943,000 from last year, reaching the lowest level in 40 years. At this rate, it's safe to say we're quickly heading into a truly super single era. What do you think? Do you see this happening in the West too? If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.